Hi, welcome. I'll just wait just a few moments to give people a chance to come on. This is going to be number 2 in my re-debut of live streaming on the most important topic of our times and maybe of all times, and that is the topic of the Messianic era, the Messianic age, the Messianic process, which is what we're in right now. I don't know who I'm talking to now or who I will be talking to. You know, these like one of the signs, one of the many signs of the Messianic era of redemption, of Geula, of Mashiach. All terms for that is the rise in technology, the rise in interconnection, the ability to reach the whole world with an idea, to converse globally, like on any topic at any moment. And that's something that we can do here. So I'm going to encourage you. My intention is, it's a real breakthrough. I got on Sunday, and here I am again. And my intention is, I've not heard from Rabbi Reuben Wolf yet, but I'm sure I will by the end of the day. We'll make a time for our discussion. I plan to come on with other people as well. I think sometime in the next few days, we'll bring on James Gosnell, a very learned non-Jew, very Torah learned, very devoted, who knows some things that I don't know. And the point here is that we need to bring out all of these things into the collective forum. It's like, in the old times, and in the old days, the Roman forum, the marketplace, people would go and discuss the issues of the day, the politics of the day, whatever. This is our forum. And we need to discuss what matters. And there's so much noise here. And I think that it's time to bring a very, very solid, very intentional conversation. So please, and let me get into the chat here. Some of you, if you haven't joined my hello to everybody, Vanessa, Alana, I don't want to say LL, I'll call you LL, Eliza, Edna, yeah, thank you very much. So thanks also to those of you who shared the video that I did on Sunday. A lot of people shared it, which I appreciate it. We want to bring as many people into the forum as possible. It's going to be interactive. This is interactive. This is meant to be interactive. We're going to illuminate things. We're going to talk about the Torah. We're going to ask questions about the Torah, about current events, about your role, about what to do about all of that. So I think without further ado, I just want to address, first of all, no, back up. If you are not on my Telegram group, please join it. Underneath this video, I guess I didn't put anything there yet. I will. Underneath the last video, I put my Telegram chat link, my Twitter link, and my Facebook link. I have to add Instagram, and I suggest joining all of those just so that, if something doesn't work, you'll be able to get access somewhere else. All of these, Twitter is going to be, X is going to be probably the biggest public forum in the future. So I really would like to have some action over there. If you're willing to be part of that, that would be great. Meanwhile, I'm on Telegram. I'm letting people know when I'm going live, and I'm taking questions. I'm not going to be able to answer all the questions in one sitting that have come in through Telegram, but the intention is to get questions asked and get questions answered and get discussion going and have it apply to each of us, integrated, all of us. Okay, without further ado, I want to talk about the role of the non-Jew in this process. And I want to start by saying that all of this distinction, we started as one being. Actually, pre-one being, all that there was God. All that there still is God. But now God is showing up in many, many different costumes. Our job, there are many ways to say this, but right now I'm going to say that our job as human beings is to reveal the God within every single one of the costumes, the one God. That's the costumes, our ideas, their nations, their cultures, their humans, all their worlds, species. There's nothing that exists that's not God. Nothing. So God created a world of massive diversity, not to say conflict, division, in order that oneness would be revealed in every possible way. right? And Maimonides says, the Telegram link is not on this. If Edna, I see you're on. If you wouldn't mind posting the Telegram link or any other of my links, that would be great. And if not, I'll do it after. Anyway, so the Maimonides, the Rambam, who I mentioned on Sunday, was the main codifier of the laws of kings and Mashiach, the Redeemer, according to Jewish Torah law. He also talks about how the purpose of Christianity and Islam is to prepare the world for Mashiach. Mashiach is the Redeemer. The world, as I said last time, has a structure, and that's just like the body has a structure. Every single part of the body is absolutely part of the body. Every cell has to be healthy and vibrating high for the whole body to be healthy. That's us. That's religions. That's cultures. That's nations. That's people. So everything has to express that oneness. And the Torah is the blueprint for creation. The download, the divine download, I just have to have something up. I have to get it up. Turn it off. Okay. That was my Telegram beeping. The divine download for all of humanity. It was given through Moses, to Moses, on behalf of the Jewish people, the souls of Israel, after leaving Egypt. But in order to be an incubator for that Torah, so that over time it could permeate all aspects of creation, all cultures, all thought streams, all reality. And because we are at the prelude to that, the revelation of that oneness, we're finding every kind of perspective popping out and almost fighting for attention. And many falsehoods are being promoted on social media and other places. Some of them are new, some of them are very, very not new, but only so that they can be illuminated. So I don't want to get too philosophical here. Let me take a moment. I wanted to do this before we started. If you don't mind, just take a moment, close your eyes if you're willing, it's comfortable for you. And let's just pray for a second. We're not looking to pray from a liturgy right now, but just to ask, open your heart, bring your soul forward, and just ask that each of us should be guided, protected, and blessed in all kinds of ways in order to live our role. Okay, in order to harmoniously bring forth our soul's light and our mission and our potential. So everyone in the world is in this together. Most people don't know that, but more and more people do. So Torah is for everyone. Geula, redemption, is for everyone. Mashiach is for everyone. And the battles over, who, how, what, where, when, that's part of the process. I don't know why my phone is doing that. I'll move it. That's part of the process, but it's not the end of the process. The end of the process is like in a forum. All ideas get aired and get discussed in the light of the Torah, which is the final arbiter, the ultimate arbiter of how we decide these things. And then we'll all know. So, yeah, I just got lost. I just looked at the chat. My brain's a little bit all over the place today. I'm going to try not to keep this too long. I would rather come on very frequently and have these sessions be shorter and give people a chance to think and to bring up questions and to look things up. But there's nothing that's off the table. Actually, if Rabbi Wolf agrees, I'd like to entitle our conversation coming up as everything you wanted to know about Mashiach, about the Messiah, but we're afraid to ask. So really, we really need to be open about things. So a lot of people some of you know, some of you are in this and some of you don't know, but there's something called this, there is part of the Torah. Most of the mitzvahs of the commandments of the Torah are given directly to the Jewish people, the souls of Israel as they came out of Egypt, the descendants of Jacob. But then there are what's called the 7 mitzvahs, the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach, the 7 mitzvahs, the 7 commandments that were given to all human beings. Why are they called the Sheva mitzvahs? The 7 Sheva mitzvahs means 7. Sheva is 7 commandments to the descendants of Noah. Why the descendants of Noah? Because the descendants of Noah are the only people who were left after the flood. So the 7 mitzvahs aren't specifically for people who say, I'm going to keep the 7 mitzvahs. The 7 mitzvahs are for all people. The 7 mitzvahs are God's prescription for an inhabitable world, a sustainable world that can become a vessel for infinite divine light, infinite expansion and awakening. So those 7 mitzvahs need to be known by everybody. If they're not known by everybody, how can people keep them? If they're not understood by everybody, how can people keep them? And those 7 mitzvahs are the foundation for God's plan for the world. But the 7 mitzvahs are just the foundation. I know that there's some people find all kinds of reasons to complain about Jewish teachings, Torah teachings. And there's a difference between Judaism and Torah in a sense. Judaism is the Jewish path forward in keeping the Torah and learning the Torah and teaching the Torah. So it's very, very central. But the Torah is not only for Jews, and Judaism is not for everybody. What's for everybody, what's commanded up to everybody is the 7 mitzvahs. And and I will be talking about those hopefully later in the week. So I'll let you know when. I'll let you know on the Telegram, if not anywhere else. The point is, though, that once people are already walking that path, some people have the complaint, or in some cases very sincere. Like, why is it that Jews have such an ability, such a complex array of opportunities? It's not so easy, but why do we have so many opportunities to work on a relationship with God, to learn and study and grow? And the non-Jews, the question is, have only 7? No, that's not true. The 7 commandments are the foundation for every human being, for a just and righteous world, to open you, to connect you. It's like putting the hose, it's screwing the hose onto the faucet so that the water can start to come out. Once that happens, do you need to turn the faucet on any farther to be a good human being and have a place in the world to come? No, you do not. That's enough. But if it happens to be that you want more, as I'm sure most people do, then there's a path that you can walk. It starts there. I'm talking about for non-Jews. Certainly Jews have our path. There's a path that you can walk that will take you into increasing intimacy with God and increasing proactive participation in the mission, in the Torah mission, in the Torah itself. And that is called the path of the Ger. Ger is G-E-R. So in the Torah, even in the 5 books of Moses, the Bible, often it talks about the Ger. The word Ger is usually translated as convert, but it doesn't only mean convert. It depends on the context. So sometimes a Ger is a convert. What is a convert? Somebody who takes on, who studies, who has a deep drive, deep enough to take on the difficult mission of being part of the Jewish people. If you're not Jewish, maybe you are happy that you're not Jewish right now. It's like coming hot and heavy on the Jews at the moment, at least like socially, hopefully not in any other way anymore. But it's a big responsibility. Anybody can be part of that if they're willing to do the work, if they're willing to take that on. So that's the first thing. And that if you look at the path of growth in the Torah, it starts with somebody who is in opposition to the Torah, doesn't want to be told what to do, doesn't believe it, fights it. Okay, they will have a problem if they don't sort that out. But then there are those people who move into, I will keep, what are the 7 mitzvahs? I will keep the 7 mitzvahs. At least I will aim to grow in them. God is not trying to press you out of existence. God wants to work with you. And as you walk in that way, you can continue to walk into more aspects of Torah and into more active participation. And the ultimate of that is to actually be fully committed to the mission, the Torah mission, the redemption mission, as Jews are contracted to be. We contracted a long time ago with God at Mount Sinai, and we've been held to that contract, whether we like it or not. And we've gone through some really heavy-duty things on behalf of that contract. So not everybody wants to sign up for that, quite understandably, and not everybody's soul is telling them to do that. We have as many different kinds of souls, at least, as there are notes in a symphony. And each one of us has to play our own note. That's the point. But we're also, every human being is invited, once they start with the 7 mitzvahs, not to worship idols. We'll save listing. You can look them up. I'm not going to list them here because it's going to take away. But once you agree that you're taking on the 7 mitzvahs, then the rest is open to you, and you don't have to convert to study most aspects of Torah. You don't have to convert to be part of the mission of the souls of Israel and the Torah of Israel. You can have your part. In fact, there are sources that even say that a non-Jew who loves and acts on that love, aligns with that love of the Torah, the God of Israel, the nation of Israel, and the land of Israel, is considered the fourth house of Israel. So I don't want to go into the technical details because some of them are theoretical in these times when we're still, not pre the total. We're past when in the temple times. We're in the exile. We're still before the ultimate climax of the final redemption. So a lot of these things are free choice now. They're not law. But my point is that everybody has a role. So when people ask me, as people do all the time, including today, what's the role of a Noahide, someone who keeps these 7 mitzvahs, a non-Jew who wants to be part of the Torah, has made that decision and that commitment. So the role is the same as for anybody. It is to study the Torah. There's some parts of the Torah that non-Jews aren't allowed to study, but they're very few. And we can clarify that in a future session, or maybe even here, if people are interested, to do things to come closer to God. That's prayer, that's tzedakah, charity, that is thinking about Mashiach, learning about Mashiach, about the redemption, opening your eyes to see signs of that. I've shared some of these simple points on my Telegram group, things that the Rebbe said, and that other sources also say, that will help to reveal the redemption in actuality now that we are in the times. Everybody is meant to do those things. Everybody's meant to do those things. There's no difference in that sense. It's true that, for example, a Jew has to have a mezuzah, the little the scroll inside of the little box that we put on our door, that is the upgraded version of the blood on the door, what's it called, the lintel, in the redemption from Egypt. That protects every mezuzah put up by any Jew on any door, protects the entire Jewish people and also the world. So that's not a mitzvah per se for a non-Jew, although I don't think that it's forbidden. I'm not a halachic legal authority, but if you can get a Jew to do that, then you're really in business. You're really, really promoting redemption. You're bringing safety and protection to everybody. You're bringing God consciousness to everybody. So even though in some cases, most cases, things are optional for a non-Jew, most of the mitzvahs that are incumbent upon Jews are not incumbent upon non-Jews, but a lot of them are optional. Like non-Jews not allowed to observe the Shabbat, the Sabbath, in the same way as a Jew, but they are allowed to commemorate it. They are allowed to celebrate it. They're allowed to take a rest. Many things that are allowed, and also to help any Jew to come closer, is also tremendously powerful. We're all in it together. That's the point I'm trying to make. We're all in it together. And there is no difference in the effect of, the potential for, and the need for, the urgency for the redemption between a Jew and a non-Jew. The whole world is coming to oneness, and it has to come to oneness. God has to be revealed everywhere, through everything, and in everyone. So I want to know if this is clear. I'm going to just look at the chat here. I'm not seeing a lot of comments so far. It's impossible to navigate Messiah's age if you don't know Mashiach is here. Okay. Not sure what to make of this one. Rabbi Nir Manusi and Rabbi Ephraim Palvanov have both shared some excellent teaching. Yeah, on the Noahide laws, yes. Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg talked about this, talked about the fourth revolution. He's the one that, as far as I know, coined the term several years ago. In a nutshell, he explained that there have been 3 previous times when what was forbidden according to Torah, like to make money from teaching Torah, was one thing. To teach Torah to women was another thing. To write down the oral law was another. In order to, some circumstances changed, and in order to save and protect the Torah, those things had to be flipped. So the oral law had to be written down, and People have to be paid for teaching Torah if that's their profession, and so on. So he coined the term the fourth revolution. Those are the three revolutions. The fourth revolution is that everybody in the world needs to learn Torah. How about that? The non-Jews need to learn Torah. They need to be part of Torah. And this might spark some controversy, but I met with him personally several years ago to ask him more about that. And he told me that it should become a lot easier for people to be Jewish if they want to. And he considers that part of the fourth revolution, although I don't believe he said it publicly. He didn't say that it should be, we recorded it. He didn't say it should be secret. So that is controversial because the Jewish world's not set up for it. And because here, I'll tell you something else. And the Rebbe talked about this. Think about it. Until not very long ago, really not very long ago, maybe the 90s, it was a danger to life for a Jew in many places to learn Torah, to observe Torah, much less to teach it to others. Like Russia, for example. I remember when I lived in Brooklyn, people were going to Russia when it started to open up to the Soviet Union, and they were bringing multiple sets of tefillin or multiple mezuzahs or multiple prayer books or whatever, and they would be stopped by the communists, the customs when they got off the plane, and like, who are these for? And they'd be like, I remember one story from Mayor Rhodes. He said he brought like a lot of, I think he brought 7 sets of tefillin, of the boxes, the phylacteries, phylacteries, what kind of word is that? It's a ritual holy object that Jewish men use every day except for the Shabbat and the holidays. Anyway, he brought, you only need 1 pair. He brought 7, I guess, or maybe it was more than 7. And the customs agent, the Soviet agent said, "What are these for? Why did you need all of them?" And he said, "Yes, I use a different one every day. I have my Sunday, my Monday, my Tuesday, my Wednesday," and they let him go. So he's bringing it for the Jews in Russia. That was not long ago. That was just a few decades ago. We don't realize how much the world has changed because we're sitting in the middle of it, but it has changed so drastically. Now it's like really, really chaotic and turbulent, and things are happening even faster, but there's so many changes. Just think about it. I mean, even this, I like to mention the fact that I don't know where people are from. You could let me know. That'd be fun. But it's very easy for somebody to like press a button and all of a sudden people from all over the world can see and hear you. That's new. That's pretty new. And there's just more coming all the time. But the point is that the world is changing and that everybody has a role to play. And that the Torah needs to be revealed, discussed, learned, activated, integrated, applied. And that comes a lot through discussion, questions and answers, your objections, your wish. This must happen. This is the fourth revolution. Because without this, the end of the mission cannot come. The mission can't be completed. The Jews, you could look at the Jewish people as in the last 2,000 years almost, the Jewish people have been mostly exiled amongst the nations. It's been like an incubator, like in some ways a horrible incubator, where we've been squished and suppressed and oppressed and exiled and so on and so forth. But nevertheless, we learned Torah in the language of the place, and we made, ritual objects out of the materials of the place, and we ate the food of the place, and it was used, for Torah learning to inspire, to give the body fuel for Torah learning. In this way, divine sparks from all over the world were elevated, and also the Torah thinking permeated the nations. There are many, many, many things that come from Torah that have changed the thinking of cultures from all over the world. People don't realize this either. So the problem is, though, that, and it's not an accident, that Jews are being, first of all, returned to Israel. Israel is open for the first time, really, and occupied by millions of Jews for the first time in 2,000 years, almost. This is one of the most primary signs of redemption. But Israel is still captured by a non-Jewish government. And when I say non-Jewish, there may be Jews in the Knesset seats, but there's no doubt in my mind that it was set up this way by people who were not in favor of the redemption, that knew about it and that set it up in such a way that it would be held back. Because that's the nature of what's happening now. We're in a spiritual war. We're in the final war. And we have to understand who the players are and how to discern between true and false, real and not real. All of that is crucially important. I want to be here to facilitate. And I would like you guys to help me. And you can facilitate too. Anyway, so all of this needs to be elevated and discussed and figured out. And everybody has a role. The main thing that I want to bring out in this particular live is that everybody has a role, that every discussion is potentially an opportunity for illumination. Like see us as being in one vast forum. Try to bring more people to the forum. That's a massive thing to do. Bring one person into the discussion. It doesn't matter who they are or what their background is, because God is for everyone. God is everyone. And Mashiach is for everyone. Torah is for everyone. I don't know how to clean up the chat. I guess I can afterwards delete things that seem unhelpful, but yeah, so I will say also that there's a concept that's explained in Hasidus in the deepest level of Torah called Yenikas Aklipos, which is literally means the nursing of the impure forces. So it's very interesting if you watch it to see how much the world wants to glom on to any conversation or any heritage that has to do with the Jews. That's interesting too. Like there's a lot to illuminate here. And what we need to do is, like, let's imagine that we're in a system, that humanity is like a system, I'm seeing like a body with blood vessels and meridians and whatever, but they're all twisted. So the heart's pumping out pure light. Let's call that the core of the soul. Whatever, the heart's pumping out pure light. And then it's going through these vessels, and it's enough to sustain the vessels, but the vessels are twisted, disconnected, distorted, and kind of co-opted by conflicting forces. So as we discuss, as one of us learns, any one of us who learns more truth and who vibrates with more truth and who shares more truth, again, it's great if you want to have a platform, if you want to start a YouTube channel, it's not very hard to do. You could watch a video and it'll tell you how. And you can share it here and maybe, bring people to your discussion from bring your family and friends, but you don't have to do that. If that's not you, you don't have to do that. Straighten yourself out. And then automatically you'll start to create more clarity, more straight flow in the vessels that we are. We're all channels. And then, how hard is it to bring one person in or two people in or three people in or start a conversation at the dinner table or ask a question? The best way, by the way, to get people interested in a conversation is to ask questions. What do you guys think is happening? Some people say it's like the Messianic era. What do you think? How do you explain this, that, or the other thing? And then give people space to share. I mentioned on Sunday that the letters of the word Mashiach, which means Messiah, it means the anointed one. The word Messiah comes from the word Mashiach. So the word Mashiach is the same exact letters as the word Messiah, which means to talk. So to discuss the issue and then to learn about the issue from the legitimate Torah sources. That is the straight path. The Rebbe said that the straightest path to bring Mashiach is to learn all matters of Mashiach and redemption, Mashiach and Geula, in a manner of Chachma, Bina, and Das. What does that mean? It means in a way that's truly integrated. That's not one-sided. It doesn't stand on one little point, but it's like the intuitive, the deep knowledge, the esoteric, and then the practical and the application, and then the connection, the personal, the emotional, and the action, all aspects. We have to learn all aspects of Mashiach from the Torah, Mashiach and Geula. And the Rebbe said that because this is the Tzavasha, this is the call of the hour. It's the call of our generation. He said it goes without saying that it applies to every man, woman, and child of our generation without any exception whatsoever. The Rebbe's words. Yeah. So that's you. And that's your children or your siblings or your parents or your neighbor or your grocery clerk or your online friends or whatever. And there are many, many, many ways to bring people into a discussion. And sometimes they can be provocative. Sometimes you can say, I heard this crazy thing. I want to know what you think about it. It's okay to do a little guerrilla warfare there. Okay, let me see if there's anything in the chat that I can speak to. Just scrolling through here. I want, but do not deserve Mashiach. It feels like it's too late to have Mashiach, even though I'm so ready. Yeah, I don't know about deserving Mashiach. I think that we deserve Mashiach just because if we're not pillaging, looting and pillaging, and wishing everybody dead at this point. We've been through enough. This isn't our first rodeo. This is our first incarnation, and the world needs Mashiach. I encourage you to look up the videos of Rabbi Manis Friedman. They're online. He's really, really interesting. He was my first teacher many, many years ago, and he makes the very, very irrevocable or irrefutable case that that God needs Mashiach. He needs us to bring Mashiach. He needs us to do our mission much more than we need to do it. He's created the whole world on behalf of what we have to do now, and he's put the power in our hands. On Sunday when I talked about how God blew the soul into man, my thought is that he blew from the depths of his being into a body, and now he's stuck there. Not all of God, but the part of God that is the source of the souls is within us. It's like, sometimes I think of it as like there's this massively long rope that comes from the highest level of pure creator, even before God as creator, God's essence, all the way down to this physical world, and we're holding the rope. We're the ones who can move it. So it doesn't matter whether you deserve it or not, really, even though I believe that we all do, and then some. This is an unnatural world. It's a fallen world. We take it for granted. We think that we deserve to constantly struggle, and that we're never enough, and that we have to be perfect all the time and then more just to be allowed to live. And maybe we've been trained that way, but that's a false matrix. That's a fallen world. But that's beside the point. It doesn't even matter, because God needs us in order to get out of this. And that's why he created the world, for the stage that we are helping to usher in now. So just keep that in mind. Don't think too much about yourself. If it's problematic, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It has to happen. And you're here for a reason. You're here to help it. Okay. So I'll have to do a little video cleanup. Just looking to see if there's anything else. So fearing Mashiach's arrival, that's a reasonable thing, and we can make it easier. In my opinion, one of the main reasons that the Rebbe talked so much about the things that we could do already starting in 1991 is because it's happening now. Like when birth starts, it's happening. But what's going to be the path till it gets to the end, till the child is born? That to a large degree depends on the attitude of the mother and the quality of the midwife or the doctor or whatever. We can make a big difference, maybe all the difference in how we get there. And by the way, I will say this also. This is my strong opinion. So there are apparently, our Rabbi Wolf could talk about this a lot more, because he knows a lot more about it than I do, but he's been quoting sources that talk about how there's going to be a massive rise in anti-Semitism and Jew hatred right before Mashiach, and when we're toward the end of the process. We're like basically in the transition stage of the birth. And yeah, I don't know what all the sources say the reasons are. I know that one of the first things I heard when I was first invited to the home of observant Jews, I was not observant at all and not interested in being. I was Jewish, but it was culture, not religion for me. But they told me that there's a halacha, there's a law, like it's a law of creation, that Esav sone et Yaakov, that Esav, let's say the church, the non-Jews, the church, I guess Esav is really the church in our days, will hate Jacob, the Jewish people, until Mashiach comes. So Mashiach is in the process. Like Mashiach basically the Geula is underway. It's a process and a destination. But this hatred is a sign of the times. What is it meant to do for us? And here's where this is my opinion, but very strong. What is it meant to do? Why is it there? Because there's a vacuum. Because we're meant to be teaching Torah. We're meant to be talking about this. We're meant to be bringing God to the world at this point. And it's terrifying for a lot of people. First of all, a lot of people don't have the information, but it's terrifying because I started to say this before, because we were in danger of death. There was death throughout history for Jews who dared to keep the Torah, much less share it. So it's a big flip that's required. And everybody's part of that. by participating, by sharing a video. Share it if you like it, share it. Like, let's make this a conversation. Let's bring people into the forum. Let's make it easy to talk about these things and not, anymore. Like, let's get rid of that trauma. Let's break that trauma of you can't talk. It's dangerous. Nobody will hear you. They're your enemies. There's a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. And as long as we don't fill the vacuum with straight, remember the twisted meridians and vessels, whatever, as long as we don't fill the vacuum with the light of the Torah, of the truth, of godliness, of Geula, it's going to fill up with other things. So I think that's what we see happening. And we can look at all of this as a catalyst to get us up our butts, so to speak, and to do what we're here to do. Your soul came down for this. There's no question. Okay. Do we have time to get it together? There's no time like now. My husband used to say to me when I asked, like, oh, I'm so late, this, that. And he's like, what's the best time to plant a tree? 30 years ago. What's the second best time? Right now. It's divine providence that we are where we are. Anxiety is also, it's like not necessarily, okay, having feelings of anxiety, that is often not our choice. But what we do with them, let anxiety move you into action. That's a great way to use anxiety. And assume that everything can be changed. And it can. The question is, how fast can we get it together, and how much can we get it together, and how much do we have to do? And I don't believe that we have to do that much anyway. I think we're very far along. But I think we have to do what we can. And we can just start. People asking me about their role, we'll talk about it more. We can just start by talking, by bringing someone else to the forum, by participating, by thinking about it, by asking yourself, what's one thing I can do today that I didn't do before? What's one, there are many teachers on this topic. Watch a video. Get a charity box and put a coin in it every day. If you're Jewish, don't do it on Shabbat or on the Jewish holidays. You're not allowed to touch money then, but every day, a few times a day if you want. It can be a dime, a shekel, a quarter. And then when the box is full, give it to a poor person or an institution that helps poor people, or a Torah institution. And you'll be, tzedakah brings the geula. We're taught explicitly, and it saves from death. There's so many things to do. We've got to stop being helpless. We've been made helpless on purpose. Fear is being weaponized against us. Division is being weaponized against us, and there's a vacuum that we need to fill with light. You cannot do that if you don't have light. I mean, we all have light, but the Torah will activate our life. You have to, if you're going to teach something even a little bit, you have to know that something. So learn. Again, the Rebbe said the straightest path to bring Mashiach is to learn every matter of Mashiach and redemption in a manner of, from the Torah, from all aspects of the Torah, from all the way from the Chumash to the Talmud to Kabbalah to Hasidus and everywhere in between, and Halacha. It all goes together. It's not one piece, it's all of it. It's multidimensional, but to learn it in a manner of Chachma, Bina, and Das, that it's internalized, that it becomes yours. And this applies to every single man, woman, and child of our time without any exception whatsoever. Is everybody going to step in and do that right now? No. Let's make it a fad. Let's bring it forth into the collective. We can do that. We have accelerated power to do that because we're doing it. We're working with God. We're working with vast forces that are waiting for us to help act as channels to bring them into the collective. So it is supernatural. Your 1, 2, 3, 10, adding up acts of participation and co-creation might be physical. They might look small, but all of the light and all of the potential is right here, and God is in it with us 100%. In fact, He needs us, like I said, to allow that light to shine, to allow the new paradigm to come into reality. So, yeah. Scrolling through. Okay. I just want to say that if you're disruptive in the chat, I do want open conversation, but anybody who's disruptive, and blasting the chat with whatever, I will have to figure out how to block you in the future. So you have a choice either to not do that and participate in like a normal conversation here, or to not be part of it. So if anybody knows how to do that, please message me on Telegram. Otherwise, I'll have to find out, because that's very disruptive. If they're dark spirits that don't want to change, of course, there are all kinds of forms of opposition, but those are only here to help us bring out the hidden light. Like the idea of blowing, blowing, you're breathing deep in. I actually heard what Rabbi Wolf described this so tangibly. You have to breathe into the depths of your being to bring out that which is hidden. So all, like when we lift weights, all resistance, all challenge is designed to catalyze us to bring out hidden things. Okay, yeah, Maimonides on the laws of king, 100%, laws of kings. What happens if a Jew is married to a non-Jew when Mashiach comes? I would assume, I don't know, but I would assume that the non-Jew will have the opportunity to convert. Or maybe it's something else. I mean, it also depends on what stage we're at. I have heard from two sources that there are some opinions, that Torah opinions, that eventually everybody, at the end of the day, will be Jewish. So I wouldn't worry, but, I would keep moving toward the Torah, both of you. And yeah, I would very much doubt that somebody who really wants to be Jewish isn't going to be allowed to. At the end of the day, do I find the younger generation is more open to this? Maybe. It depends on who they are. Yeah, I've never been able to segment people who relate to what I relate to by age. It seems to be more of a personality type or a soul type. So I don't know. But young people in general are looking for something real. They're not so interested in the old established, because they're coming with different soul powers and different light. Okay, I'm just scrolling through. Lots of comments. Yeah, feel free to report anything inappropriate. Let me see. Thank you, Wanda. Let me see if I can do that. The problem is every time I put my cursor on a comment, it gives me the option to show it on the chat, and I can't actually get to it without that covering it up. It's making it a little hard to read, actually. Click the three dots and block. Let's see. I don't, 3 dots, okay. Block user. Look at that, crowdsourcing. Can I delete all the posts from the user? Block. I hope I did it. Telling me to reload the page. We'll see, but thank you for your help. Please keep helping me till this is done. We don't need this. Okay, what advice do I have for Mashiach if they're listening? Mashiach needs to give us advice. Mashiach is not somebody who needs our advice. Mashiach is, like I said on Sunday, if you did not hear my live stream from Sunday, go back and listen to it, because everything is going to be, I'm sure we'll repeat some things, but everything is going to build on everything. It's a vast body of knowledge. Mashiach is the central soul. Mashiach is the soul of Moses, literally the reincarnation of Moses' soul, and in the lineage of David, King David, and King Solomon. Nobody else is qualified. So if that's not the case, if you don't have those two things, the rest is irrelevant. You're not Mashiach. Okay, so Mashiach has to be somebody, as the Torah says, as the Rambam says. The Rambam codifies this. Maybe I will have to repeat this every call. The Rambam codifies the laws of kings and Melech HaMashiach. The Rambam codifies, Maimonides codifies, tells us the bottom line, according to the Torah law, what Mashiach has to be. So he has to be from the patrilineal, on the father's side. He has to be descended from King David and King Solomon. He has to be deeply learned in Torah and occupied with Torah and mitzvahs in every aspect of Torah, from the most esoteric to the most legal and practical, and everything in between. He has to be actively fighting the wars of God, What are those? For the integrity and wholeness and truth of the people of Israel, the nation of Israel, and the Torah of Israel. And the Rebbe specifically says it can be in a peaceful way, but he has to be making inroads in that, like on the ground. We're not talking about somewhere in the sky. There are plenty of people who influence things on a spiritual level. I do, probably you do. I mean, I'm sure we do, especially if we're intentional and we're aligned. That's not Mashiach. Mashiach has to influence the world, meaning you have to be able to see it. Of course, Mashiach is doing many things that we can't see yet, but he's also doing things that we can see. We have to see the results. Mashiach has to be, I'm looking for the word. It said there's V'Yakov Kol Yisrael Leilech Ba. He has to be compelling all of Israel to follow the Torah. But again, that doesn't have to be like through force. That doesn't work anyway. It can be through argument, through inspiration. You have no choice. When I first was in my grand spiritual experience, and I was heavily agnostic and not at all looking for the Torah. But when I had that experience, I recognized that the Torah was true and God was real, and I had no choice but to follow through. And that is being compelled, right? So it doesn't mean that somebody forced me and threatened me. It means that when you see a big enough light, there's no choice. So Mashiach has to do that. Ulachazek Bidka, and he has to reinforce its breaches. There can't be anything that weakens the Torah that comes from Mashiach. No mixed messages, no breach of the law, this is a perfected, enlightened human being, a huge soul. Huge. The core central soul of all of us, the brain of humanity. We're all one organism. Again, watch the Sunday video if you want to know more about this. That's what I talked about. So Mashiach is the one. Why do we need to know? Why does it matter? Because the more we understand who's talking to us, the more we understand how to connect and how to receive that transmission and what to do, literally what to do. In my Geula Gateway, my membership site, we learn these things in depth from the text, and we talk about them and integrate them. And there are many teachers, there are many sources, and a lot of them are online, and a lot of them are free. Okay, any thoughts on who could be doing these things? Well, I have believed since I first had my own mystical experience that it's the Lubavitcher Rebbe, whose influence still remains and increases in the world every day. So we'll talk about that with Rabbi Wolf, and I'm happy to entertain questions on that too. But I don't know that, yes, I do think it's important. I want to say I don't know that that's important. I do think that it's important. I've been a little light on talking about it for quite a few years because it doesn't go down as easy as some other things. But I think that's I think it's crucially important, actually. I think it's crucially important because Mashiach is the brain of all of humanity. Mashiach is the essence. We each hold a spark. Mashiach is the Moses of the generation. Did everybody have to listen to Moses? They didn't have to. There was fighting, there was controversy, but it didn't serve the people. So there's a structure to the universe, and that structure is our parameters and our boundaries for a healthy humanity. Anyway, more to say about that in the future. Anything else, you guys? This was a little longer than I wanted to go, like about twice as long. Anything else? I'm going to encourage you to join my Telegram group. If you're on Telegram, or I guess somebody told me you don't have to download the app even, it's easier, but you can just go to telegram.web. Telegram.web. Then you'll just type in my name, Shipra Henry chat, and we're going to be holding conversation there, and also people are going to be sharing their questions. The one that I chose to speak to today was the one about what's the role of a Noahide. But, and what's my role? Somebody else, a Jewish woman also, Nechama, asked, how do I know what to do? I don't have a following. And there are many things that we can do. Let me tell you this, the things that bother you most in the world are the things that your soul came down to help to fix, and that's in many ways your specific role. There's so much to say about this. There are many different levels of purpose, and when we fulfill our purpose, we are rectifying the world, and that is the prelude for Mashiach revealing. That's what we're doing here. It's all one thing. It's not separate things. Like we're in the birth process now. We're in the transition stage of the birth, as far as I can tell. But the birth didn't start here and doesn't end here. The birth started with conception, right? Started with relationship and connection and conception. And then it goes like through all the stages in the womb of development, and everyone is essential and everyone in its time. And there's no apparent movement. I mean, it grows in the womb, but in a hidden way for 9 months. And that's the parallel here, is that in the fractal level is that's been happening to humanity. We've been in the womb of creation, of incubation of our human being, so to speak. And then at some point, the baby is ready to be born. And I just recently learned that the baby gives a signal by sending certain hormones to the mother, and that starts labor. I never realized that the baby started the labor. Well, hello, we're the baby. We're also the midwife, but we're the baby. So the baby starts the labor, and then that starts with contractions, and slowly the baby starts to emerge, and you see these macro signs that are slow. Every 10 years, maybe you'll see a change, maybe, whatever it is. And then it gets faster and faster and rougher. And in transition, it's hot and heavy and really turbulent. Yes, again, hello, that's where we are right now. And then as we navigate that, and it's like, that's when we're right before the actual birth. The birth itself is like night to day. It's like darkness to light. It's like constriction, more and more constriction, until a very huge opening and expansion and a movement into a completely new miraculous world. That's where we are. That's really where we are. And we have to understand it. This is not something I'm making up. This is the cardinal principles of faith of the Torah, the Bible, the download to Moses on Sinai, the blueprint for creation. We've grown up we have been incarnated many times in a world which is very, very, very difficult. It's a fallen world on purpose. Our gestation has been inside of a tight space that we feel psychically and physically and metaphysically in all kinds of ways, because we are growing in consciousness. We're growing from an incredibly restricted human consciousness to a divine consciousness, a snake voice embedded consciousness from the tree of life, from the fall in a fallen world, to a divine consciousness, which we have helped to co-create. It's massive. So yes, it's been turbulent. It's heavy training. But once the process starts, you see once the birth process starts, especially when you think about that it's been tormenting. It's been really hard for people, for humans. We're all traumatized. Once that process is only, there's a divine principle. God himself says in the Torah that the word for challenge, a real challenge, is nisayon, which comes from the word nes, which means like a nes is a flag, like a flag on the top of the mountain. It's the word for miracle. So a challenge is meant to bring out miraculous powers of the soul. It's meant to lift you up. Once it's lifted you up, it cannot stay in place. This is God's own rule, because darkness is not allowed. Pain is not allowed to exist unless it has a very, very holy purpose. And once it's done its purpose, it's got to go. The problem is, okay, be with me here, you guys. If you're not paying full attention, I really want to get off after this. The truth is I could go on for days and days and days with you, especially if we're all talking together. Hopefully we're going to do that, but not all at once. Bring people to the forum, like the video, share it. That's really going to help. See, the thing is that once the incubation is finished and it's time for the birth, we need to change our consciousness, because our incubation and our birth is in consciousness. It's called awakening. It's not physical per se, even though it will have physical repercussions. So as long as we're stuck to the trauma that was necessary in the incubation and the gestation, we're not going to be able to participate in the shift of consciousness that is the birth. What is the birth? In this case, it's a birth into a relationship with God that is unconditionally loving, infinitely blessed, beautiful, like the Garden of Eden, but on steroids, because the Garden of Eden Adam and Eve were passive recipients, and there was a snake. We have transformed the snake, and we're just at the end of that now. So no more snake, no more evil, and we did it. So we're not passive. We're triumphant victors, or almost. That's what's up for us right now. So if we can't make that shift, if we're stuck to the trauma and we don't deserve, and it's been so hard and it's been so long, yeah, birthing mothers get there. The birth will continue, but it's harder when you're resisting it. We can make it faster, easier, smoother, and far more miraculous by realizing that what happens now is a complete shift. Reality has to turn on its head, and it can't do that without our being the channels for that. Consciousness co-creates reality, right? So our consciousness, if our consciousness is endless trauma, never going to end, I'm a victim of it forever, we need bigger shakeups to get out of that, because we will get out of it. We have to. God is waiting for us. We have to receive the light of redemption, activate it, live it, become it. That's really good news, but it takes awareness and work. Okay. Are we good? Any last question? Okay, I have something to say about this comment on Benjamin Netanyahu is making the promised land safe again. I don't know. I hope that he's doing all the right things, but whether he is or isn't, God is the one who redeems us. And it's not a good idea to give any human being or leader who anyway, who was the leader when we got into this horrible situation, who was the leader, it's not a good idea. And normally I want to try to refrain from bashing anyone, even political leaders, if I can help it, to the degree that I can. But I see people like raising him to a kingship. He's not the king. He's a human being. He's a politician, and he's been in charge for a long time. So a lot of people have died while he was in charge, and some still are. And whether it's all now for the, only the essential, I don't know. It does seem like things have changed, but I would caution anyone let me just say, he's not Mashiach. Mashiach is Mashiach, and he's not Hashem. He's not God. God is God. And if he's playing a positive role at this point, that's great. And I'll leave it at that. Okay, I guess we're good. So Rabbi Wolf told me that he would let me know today when he can come on. He is 3 hours earlier than me, so I don't know what time he's going to do that. But hopefully today I will nudge him if he hasn't done it by later on, and I'll let you know. And to be quite honest, it would be good for me. I'm still trying to break through not wanting to show up and not knowing what I have to say. Once I get started, I really, have a lot to say, but there's still a reluctance to fully come out. So I'm just going to try to come on as close to every day as I can for the next little while. So if you bring your questions, join the Telegram, bring people, that will be encouraging. If you let me know what you're learning, what you want to learn, that will also be very helpful. And I'll try to bring guests as well, Rabbi Wolf, but not only Rabbi Wolf. So the point is not just to talk at people and not just to give information, but to actually interact and take questions. And we just want to, like I said, forum, we want to raise our consciousness and everyone else's and integrate that new consciousness so that we can make that flip that's necessary for God's incoming light to get all the way down to earth, starting with our own bodies and our emotions. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. But we start with one step. Okay, Aliza, I'm so happy to hear that it helped. I'm so happy. We're just starting. And you know what? I don't think it's going to take much, but it's going to, let's gather together, receive new consciousness, shine new consciousness, and you'll see reality change in front of your eyes. What if this is all the world's waiting for? Finally, let's start talking about the real thing. What if that's it at this point? Okay. Anyway, food for thought, and see you soon. Take care.